Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin and this video is going to be going out around midnight. Hopefully I will time it to when the first waves of troops landed on the beaches at Normandy, because this is going to be my D-Day video. So it may actually come out later tonight, but I wanted to do something for D-Day because it is a very important historical event and it truly does matter. And I wanted to talk about one very specific incident. Not even incident, but just one cool story from D-Day, rather than talk about, say, the invasion plans or anything like that. How it went off, the diversion, the spying that went on. I want to talk about the story of the one general to land on the beaches of Normandy during the initial assault. And that general has a very famous name. Specifically, his name was Theodore Roosevelt, sometimes referred to as Theodore Roosevelt Jr., even though he was actually Theodore Roosevelt III. Yes, he was the son of President Theodore Roosevelt. And we're going to talk about how badass runs in this family. So, to understand what Junior here must have been thinking about when he wanted to be on the front lines during D-Day of all operations, we probably actually have to go back to his father's famous charge up San Juan and Kettle Hills, where the OG TR took his volunteer cavalry unit that he had resigned his commission as Assistant Secretary of the Navy to form, and decided to charge up a hill where the enemy, the Spanish in this case, had better guns, more modern guns, as well as entrenched Gatling guns, and we're just in an overall position of strength, whereas TR's troops were on the ground using older breech-loading rifles rather than the more modern bolt actions of the Spanish. As a matter of fact, the Spanish were actually outfitted with the Mauser K98, which basically the entire world copied after the war. And when I say the entire world copied it, the Mosin Nagant was a Mauser copy. The Lee Enfield was a loose Mauser copy. Whatever the French bolt-action rifle was, that was a copy. Springfield 1903 was a copy. Basically everyone shamelessly ripped off the German rifle. That's how good it was. Teddy Roosevelt obviously didn't care, and he charged up the hills, leading the charge from the front. Now, obviously, he wasn't president yet, but for someone of his nature or his stature and political fame at that point, again, like I said, he was the Assistant Secretary of the Navy and had a relatively promising political career up to that point. So, for him to just come out there and say, yes, I'm going to lead a near suicidal charge up a hill, that should tell you something about his character. Anyway, his son, who actually most of TR's sons fought in the First World War, Quentin Roosevelt died as a fighter pilot in the First World War. All of Teddy's other sons survived the Great War, and Junior here was fighting in World War II still. He was a brigadier general, and he repeatedly asked his division commander to allow him to land in the first wave, verbally at first, and then he sent a written request, and eventually his commanding officer did allow TR Jr. to land with his troops. And it was at the point where TR's commanding officer, I forget what the guy's name was, but he didn't expect TR to make it back alive. That's why he didn't want TR Jr. to be on the beach, is because it's Normandy. It's D-Day. Yeah, your deception tactics on the Germans did work, and they do think that any other invasion is just a diversion for the real attack at Calais. But they still have a very strong force at Normandy. And some of the first boats, depending on which beach you were on, some boats had nearing 80-90% casualty rates. There were some boats that everyone died. So, yeah, this is not in any way, shape, or form assured that this is not something many people would volunteer to be a part of, knowing how bad it's going to be, as TR Jr. would know as a general, given he would be well informed of that. Instead, he's like, yeah, no, I'll better be able to command my troops from the front. And eventually that argument does win out. So he winds up, by the way, he used a cane because of a heart condition that he had. So he gets out on the beach and he finds out that his Waves landing craft landed in the wrong spot. To which TR simply replies the way President TR would have. And he simply said, well, we'll start the war from here. And so he begins directing troops and organizing everyone and getting each subsequent wave in position to take their objectives and swing around to where they should have been, instead of trying to go at it, reposition and then go for their objectives. They say, well, we'll just alter our plan. And that actually worked brilliantly. It was a great idea and a great strategy. And mind you, this is still Normandy, so the Germans are shooting at each and every boat, at each and every person. And here's TR walking around with a cane and a pistol, and the Germans somehow can't kill him. And he's just calmly directing traffic, joking with people coming ashore. Even telling stories of President TR. And by the time his commanding officer gets ashore and sees TR there to greet him, he's just like, I thought you were dead. He was so happy to see TR Roosevelt. And somebody one time asked later General Omar Bradley, what he thought the most heroic action he had ever seen in combat was. And he simply said, uh, Theodore Roosevelt at D-Day. I mean, TR Jr. earned the Medal of Honor that he won. Number one, he volunteered to go in the first wave on D-Day. Number two, he took a situation where the plan fell apart and he began organizing in the heat of battle with bullets flying all around him, and allowed the Allied and American forces specifically to capture their objectives. It may not be as glorious as what his father did at San Juan Hill, but I would argue that his actions probably saved many, many lives. Instead of trying to reposition, he said, well, we'll just swing around from the back then. And of course, becomes, TR Jr. and President TR, they became one of the few father-son duos to win the Medal of Honor. And both of them earned it. Both of them earned it. Anyway, I'm going to end it here. I want everybody to have a very, very nice day, and just remember the brave, brave people who stormed the beaches at Normandy. Thank you.